Sure, Michelle. Hello, everybody. Good to see the crew, the local crew, and some new ones. We're obviously, elated to be in this position right now. We got a good rest day yesterday, and then we're also dealing with the heartbreak for Justin Moore. I'd like to start, if I can, early in the week, just by addressing Justin had his surgery at 6:30 this morning, and if anybody can allow me to give a shout out to our team doctor, Mike Duncan, and Dan Erickson, our trainer, who got everything set up on a Sunday morning to get an MRI, to get the surgeon in here, to meet with Justin and his family, and just an incredible effort on our medical staff's part to get this on a Sunday morning and get him in there this morning so he could get this taken care of as soon as possible. He came out of surgery great. It went well. And I also want to address I want to try to address early in the week just what an incredible player Justin is, and big part of this team, and how unique he is in our program, and that he can defend any position. He literally has defended 1 through 5. He's one of the best rebounding guards in the country. He plays every position for us offensively except 5, and he's a leader out there. So in that sense, he's probably our most valuable player, and I just want everybody to know, I think he's underrated in terms of his value to this team and what he's done this year. I think he's truly one of the most complete players in the country. He really is. And if you look at his ability to do everything for this team and be a leader at the same time, play the most minutes, everything. And so I want to say that, and then because it's true, and then I want to say that we can, it's a team, and he knows this. It's a team, and you have other guys, because he plays the most minutes. You have other guys that just don't get the opportunity because he's playing the minutes because he's great, and other guys can step up, and we can be a good team without him. I didn't want to say that first because I don't want to undervalue what this guy is and his contribution to his team, but our guys know that there are other guys, Chris Archidiakono and guys that will play. Obviously, Bryan Antoine and Trey. Those guys will get other opportunities, and there are guys that come off the bench, like all of our guys that come off the bench that will be given more minutes. Even Eric Dixon, who starts, will play more minutes, and it's opportunities for them. So we believe we can be a really good team without him. So with that said, we know how good Kansas is. They're the number 1 seed for a reason. They're a number 1 seed for a reason. They deserve it, and we're starting to prepare right now for them.
All right, we will go for questions. Again, if anybody has any, please raise your hand or write in the chat, and we will get to you. John Santa, start us off.
Jay, thanks for taking the time with all of us today. I'm curious, you've been in this predicament before when you've gone through like a Big 12 invitational on the road to a Final Four or a championship. In a way, Kansas has been through this little Big East invitational, if you will, because they face Creighton, they face Providence, and knowing how much you know those teams, now watching Kansas play them, what does that do when you're in preparation mode? Obviously, Kansas is very good, but you're familiarized with their opponents so much, and you know how those teams play.
That's a good point, John. It's funny how that happens. We had a Big 8 run. We just had a Big 10 run. And then they had a Big East run, and it does help because it's one thing to see them against other conferences opponents, but when you see them against your own, you know how certain things that Providence and Creighton do, you know it so well as they know ours. So when you see Kansas defend it, or you see Kansas go up against it, it gives you a unique perspective, and it definitely is helpful.
Dana, go ahead.
Thank you. Jay, I know you guys went through this obviously last year with Colin and the situation with him, but many years ago, you went through this very similar thing in the NCAA tournament with Kurt Sumter. And I'm just kind of wondering, if that came to your mind at all, and what any lessons you learned from just being able to rally as you guys did against Carolina that year. I know it was a long time ago.
Yeah, it's funny. Curtis's didn't come to mind right away. Collins did, because Colin immediately, as the game ended, went right to Justin, and I knew what he was doing. I knew he was thinking about how everybody was there for him last year. So I think that is something. I thank you for bringing up Curtis. It was so long ago, but it is something our guys, I think, are going to have to understand that we've been through this. We played well without a great player, and it's what a program's about. It's kind of what I started with. And I do think they understand it, because we had situations like that this year where Colin and Justin were hurt, didn't play, and our guys realized it's just opportunities for other guys, and the other guys are not, they're not playing because they're not good. They're not playing because the other guys are so good. And so now this is just their opportunity. And I think that's what we're gonna take from this. And I think that's how we're gonna approach it.
Thank you.
Zachary, go ahead.
Hey Jay, your front line is, in terms of Jermaine and Eric, it's not the biggest, but you guys have been able to defend the rim well. You guys have been able to rebound well. What makes those two guys so good defensively, both individually and then together?
Yeah, I agree, Zach. They have the physical strength to hold their ground. They have the athleticism to pursue rebounds, and I think and to defend personnel, and I think they have the basketball IQ that in relation to their position is very, very high. I think if you compare Eric's basketball IQ to Colin Gillespie's, it might not be on that level, as Colin's a point guard, but if you compare it to 5 men across the country, I think it's very, very high. And I think that's helped both of them. And I think Caleb Daniels and Justin Moore have helped us in that area too. They play much bigger. That's what Jordan Longino did for us. They play much bigger than their size.
Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mike Jensen, go ahead.
Jay, in addition to, missing Justin's minutes, his play, and having these players play who get more minutes, I'm wondering how much it could impact even your game planning, even at the offensive end, of how to do things differently with this issue.
It's definitely going to impact our game plan offensively. He's, again, I want to balance, and I want to be truthful in balancing. Like he's such a huge part of everything we do. So it's going to impact not having him on the floor, obviously, but we do have a week here to adjust what we do without him, which is what's unique about a Final Four. And you only have to play 2 games if you're really fortunate. It kind of gives you, it's almost like a bowl game in football. It does give you a chance to adjust. We have, we have 4 days of, we took off yesterday. We have 5 days of practice that we can adjust things and become comfortable. But it's definitely going to change our game plan offensively.
But can it change your game plan even to as far as the minutes, as far as you have less guys to make sure that they're on the floor?
Yeah, definitely. I think as far as, we want to get Eric Dixon more minutes, just that, Caleb's playing well, Justin's playing well. I think more minutes for Eric is great. And we want to get we want to get Bryan Antoine and Arch more minutes. It's just the other guys are so effective. That's how we look at it at NCAA tournament time. It's different during the season, but NCAA tournament time, you're like, you don't want to take less effective people off the court because this could be your last game just to get guys playing time. And that's why and the NCAA tournament games are different. You get so many timeouts and they're so long, guys get rested. So I do think it'll just improve or increase the amount of minutes for the other guys.
Thanks.
Rod, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, Rod Walker here in New Orleans. I want to ask you a little about Caleb Daniels, a guy who's from here, and just what he's meant to the program since he, transferred to Villanova.
Rod, he's incredible. He has been through, let me start. It's difficult coming into our program as a walk-on as a transfer, because there's so much corporate knowledge that's expected of you in our program. It's why it's different coming in as a freshman. And in his sit out year, he did a great job. But then as soon as he got with us, we had COVID and he was impacted greatly. And then he had myocarditis. He missed the entire off season with myocarditis. Then he came back, he got foot and mouth disease. Our team he got COVID. He has been through everything that has made it difficult to assimilate into our program. And I think he's at a point now where he probably would have been, at the beginning of this year, had he been able to go through all of our programs and not have to sit out. I think he's playing his best basketball off the court. He is one of the most beloved players in the program. He's like a 3.85 student, Dean's List, respected by his teammates. He just gets better and better every day in terms of how he impacts games for us, but also as a true representative of what we want a Villanova basketball player to be.
Brendan, go ahead.
Hey, Jay.
Hey,
Bryan Antoine, say the shoulder doesn't happen his senior year in high school. The injuries don't happen after that. Where is he today?
Probably competing for a starting spot, probably where he would be, where he'll be next year, just what everyone knows, shoulder, knee, what everybody knows is only part of the picture. He's had other injuries and they were like the shoulder was a kind of injury where you don't touch a basketball for like 7 months. It's not just being out where you can work on your ball handling, your shooting, and can't touch a basketball. You can't lift a weight. They've all been incredibly debilitating. And he would have been a guy that, had to come in and learn some things anyway. So he didn't get to learn. But I think this is going to be a great opportunity for him and we're excited for him.
And just these past few months, obviously he had some run there, January, and then kind of into February, those minutes got cut. And he kind of went into a deeper reserve role. Can you kind of, for those who haven't been around, what that looked like, those decisions?
Yeah, it's like I was saying earlier. We got to a point in the season where he had missed so much that we didn't get him in game experience, and we were playing efficiently. And by the time he came back and was healthy enough and had been in enough practice to play, we had our rotation set, and we were playing really efficiently. So you can't just, some guys do, but we don't just play a guy just to play him. to make them happy. The guys understand that they're getting better every day in practice, and they understand that they're going to play when our team is running efficiently with them. And he has learned a great deal, and I think he's ready to step in.
Thanks, Jay.
Yeah.
Lane, go ahead.
Hey there, Coach. I think that this is probably something that you have heard ad nauseum at this point, but your team has been pretty unbelievable at shooting free throws all year long. And I am curious, if that was maybe more of an emphasis this year, given the sting of the Georgetown game in the Big East final in 2021, and if there's any sort of, extra focus that you've put on it down the stretch this year.
Great question. And the Georgetown example is really interesting one. No more extra, but it's the culmination of, when you have older guys, there are a lot of habits that you create within your program that really become solidified in your older guys, and free throw shooting is something that we work very hard on. So you got older guys in the program, and those older guys are really good at it. And one of the things that we work on is the mental aspect of free throw shooting. And some of the missed free throws at the end of the Georgetown game are really part of the process that's going to happen sometime. And you can never fear that as long as you put the work in. And it's something we refer to, that we put the work in. We can't put any more work in. Like no one shoots 100%. That was one time that it got us. Can we live with that? Yes. Is it anybody's fault? No. Is there anything more we could have done? No. So if that's the worst thing that happened to us, we can live with that because we know we put the work in. I think it's given us the impetus. It even happened this year at UConn. Caleb missed a free throw. Not a problem at all for us. It's part of the process. It's part of being a great free throw shooter is missing those shots and never let it impacting your next shot or your next situation like that.
And just a quick follow-up, have you noticed that, maybe the shot selection that your team is allowed to get, in the final minutes when maybe things are getting close is a little bit less contested than in previous teams where the free throw shooting percentage has not been quite as high?
Man, great question. I have not noticed that. Have you? You know what? We honestly have not looked at that. I'm a coach. I think we're getting fouled all the time. Every coach does. But that would be really something interesting to look at. Thanks for bringing that up.
Adam, go ahead.
Great question. Hey, Jay. First, I want to say I'm sorry about Justin. That really stinks. I'm really sorry for him and for you.
Thanks, man.
Hey, I just want to ask you about since the formation of the new Big East, you guys have really been the face of the league and have had a lot of success in the league. Is there a connection in your mind between Villanova's success? I mean, has it helped in recruiting or other areas since the formation of the Big East? I mean, would you have won 2 of the last 5 national championships or whatever if you were in the old Big East with Syracuse and those other teams? And how has that changed things for you?
It's a real interesting question. I'd probably like to think about that in depth because it's interesting and it's a big part of our history. But in answering that quickly, I would say I don't think we would have had the success if not for the new Big East. And my reason for saying that would be one of the things that we really try to focus on at Villanova is authenticity. We don't try to out Kentucky, out Duke. We have great respect for those programs. We have always, even in the old Big East, tried to be the best Villanova we can be. And being able, once the new Big East formed, then we realized, hey, we're we're amongst our own, we're amongst basketball centric universities, and this is who we are. So let's be the best we can be in this league. Let's see where it takes us, rather than, all right, we're in a new league now. Let's see what we have to do differently. We said we're in this league. Let's start with, let's try to be the best of this league. And the second part of that is, I feel like, I think John asked this earlier, the coaches in this league we all try to get the best players we can be. We all try to get pros, but we all realize we're not going to, again, out Kentucky, out Duke. We're gonna get the best players we can be, and we're gonna have to have systems and schemes. So you go against, I think, the best coaches in the country in this league that are always trying to out-coach you, and they're trying to out-scheme you. So when you get to the NCAA tournament, whatever type of, like that Houston, whatever type of program or system you run into, you've seen it. Like that Houston program is so unique, and that was such a difficult prep for that game. But we feel like, and I don't want to use names, we've run into that in our conference, and it really helps us.
I mean, you've said a million times, when I've asked you a million times about recruiting one and dones, that you'd want to have them, but they have to fit in your system. Am I hearing you correctly that you're saying you're purposely recruiting system guys in part because of this league, and that if you were in a new league, you might have tried to get some more one and dones like Kentucky and Duke, or you might have done something different?
You know what? I want to make sure, AZ, because I know you are well read in this area, and I want to be clear about this.
Yeah.
We would have been faced with the challenge of thinking about that. I would like to think we would have stayed true to who we are, but we never had to do that. And as a matter of fact, it made it very simple for us. Like, it was such a drastic change. And I think I've gone on record saying I was crushed when the old Big East broke up. I read Dana's book about the old Big East as soon as it came out, because those days are so true to my heart, and I knew all the stories, but I just wanted to relive them. So that was so, the breakup of the Big East was crushing to me personally and our program. So we were really forced to decide what we're going to do. And we were troubled with that. And it kind of made it easier, saying like, look, let's start here. Let's start with being the best of all the basketball schools in the Big East. And it worked out for us right away. So we were very lucky. We still want one and done guys. If they want to be a part of Villanova culture, we still want them. So I don't want to say we don't do that. We just were able to stick with what we do at the beginning.
And sorry, just lastly, just so I get this right. So when you say we would have been faced with, going in that direction, that would have been what? If you were in a totally new league or in the old Big East, or why would you have had to do that?
Who knows what league we would have been in, or who knows what the, when it broke up, like you didn't know what was going to happen, it just, I think the point I'm trying to make is it was a very difficult time, but the decision was easy that, hey, we're amongst our own, we're amongst basketball schools, old school Big East.
Yeah.
Let's just try first. We would have been ready to adjust if it didn't work right away, but it worked. So it was so easy for us, but we were thinking we might have to adjust. Hope that answers the question.
Great stuff. Thank you.
You got it.
Just want to give everyone, we're about 5 minutes out from having to end. I'm going to keep trying to get through as many as possible. Tom, go ahead.
Yes, Jay, a year ago when Colin Gillespie hurt his knee. Chris Arch stepped in and started, gave you another ball handler in the Big East and in the NCAA tournament. Just kind of what you see from him and kind of what the advantage would be to going in that direction.
Yeah, we're going to definitely need him, as an extra ball handler. Again, hope I can stop saying this by the end of the week, but that's just another thing, Justin Moore. I'm not trying to do this to say, woe is me, because we're going to be fine. I just felt like all year, Justin was undervalued outside of our program, and he didn't care because he was playing. But now that he's out, I feel so bad for him. And he would run the point, and we'd play Colin off the ball, and he'd run the point a lot of games. He'd play the point most of the game. But that's what Arch gives us. It gives us the ability to get Colin off the ball, and Colin's really good off the ball too. So that's what he can do and he's a great shooter. I mean, he just doesn't get, it's hard to be a great shooter when you come in for like a minute and 10 seconds at a time, and, and then out, in, out. When you're on the floor longer, it can help. So he's tough and physical defensively. He's a great shooter, and he can play point guard, which gets Colin a break off the ball.
Thank you.
Eric, go ahead.
Coach, will Justin Moore be able to travel down to New Orleans with the team?
Yeah, it's funny, Ed. It's no, not with the team, but it's what we've been working on. It's funny, like you're watching Final Four, people talking about the game. Like all we're working on is getting Colin's surgery, getting him a flight down there so we can get him down there. Ed Welsh, one of our alums, has helped us get a plane so we can get him down there, because the concern about blood clots, there's got to be a certain amount of time from his surgery. So he's going to be able to go down Saturday morning, and we really want him there with us, and he really wants to be there. So like the amount of time into that's incredible.
Okay, so the plan is for him to be there. That's great.
Yeah. And now we can get Jordan, and Jordan Longino, for the same reason, couldn't come to our last trip, but Jordan Longino will be able to travel with the team.
Excellent. You know how much they put in the work to get down there. To what extent does the UConn tape from the Wells Fargo Center serve as kind of a way for maybe Kansas to get a peek at what your game plan might be going into Saturday, given you played that game without Justin, or have you learned something from that helps you to make more tweaks?
Well, if they haven't thought of that, thanks for bringing that up, E. That's why you guys are always beautiful. I hope they don't. I hope they don't look at it. But I think Bill Self's one of the smartest guys in business. I think he'll figure that out. But it's as I was saying earlier, it's a different time of year. Like our team is a lot different, and we do have a week like that one. I think we had a day or two, to figure it out. We got a week here, and I think we can do some things differently than we did in that game.
Okay, thanks, coaches. And any chance everybody has a Moore on their jersey on the back instead of their own name, but maybe their own number on Saturday?
Yeah, man. He's going to be in our hearts, man. As will Jordan. You know as well as anybody how valuable Jordan was becoming on our team. Yeah. And it's so funny. I remember myself saying before Houston, like, what an amazing job Kelvin did, losing two of their top players. I said, and I remember saying, I can't imagine what that would be like. And now, shit, we're in the same spot.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Got it. Thanks, E.
Jessica, we are going to go to you for the last question for Coach.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for taking my question. I'm just curious. My question's kind of more macro related. Now that we are in the first season where name, image, and likeness went into effect, I'm just curious what kind of impact it may have had on your program. How did it impact recruiting? Was it a distraction for players? Was there an impact financially to the school or program?
Great question. I much like the changing of the Big East, I was very concerned, and probably being a coach, we're all over paranoid about things, but I think it's probably our job. I was very, very concerned about that going into the season, and I have been pleasantly surprised very proud of how our guys have handled it. I remember before the start, before our first game, which was on a Tuesday, Colin Gillespie had a chance to go to New York City for a photo shoot. He turned it down. He said, I don't want any distraction, a well-paying photo shoot. He said, I don't want any distraction from our opening game. And then the organization said, well, will Jermaine Samuels come? And then Jermaine Samuels said, no, you know, I don't want to be a distraction. And it was a Saturday and we had off. And I had to go to Jermaine and say, Jermaine, go, you know. And Colin said, yeah, let Jermaine go. And I said, go, we're off, you know, you'll be up there in a day and back, you know, that it's part of what this is. And he did it. And right away, it showed me in the beginning how our guys were going to handle that. You know, it wasn't going to, they were going to have great opportunities, which they did. It turned out to be a great thing for financially for Jermaine. Colin was passing up things for his teammates. It's been a real positive. I'm shocked. And I don't think it's impacted the university at all negatively. I think positively, our guys have been real positive with it. We want to continue to build on this. I think our guys have made good money. They've had good opportunities. And I think for Villanova, how we maintain our commitment to being the best student athlete you can be and still financially, the guys benefit financially from their name, image, and likeness without negatively impacting their education and their pursuit of basketball goals is going to be our challenge. And I was amazed at how our guys handled it this year. And I'm enthusiastic about it going forward.
All right, Coach, that is all for today. Thank you all very